Donald Trump has a big victory at the G7, and yet, surprisingly, shockingly, the fake news, the media, they haven't said a word about it. Can you imagine that? As the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream propaganda media seeks to continue to not only undermine this president, but try to help the lib Democrats create this brand new narrative, this brand new fake crisis. Recession is coming, recession is coming, recession is coming. And they had to fuel the fear, which of course occasionally hits us in the stock market when the investors get a little bit nervous. This trade war with China, tariffs, and China's really putting it to us, and they put a ban on American agriculture. And the liberals lied, Bernie Sanders lied, the media lies, even some conservative so-called pundits like Ben Shapiro, who don't really understand economics and how things work, crybaby Glenn Beck, they kind of, this president better know what he's doing, this president better know what he's doing, he's crazy. Then we get that from the lying left. The president's crazy, he's out of his mind, he's going to plunge us into economic war. So he goes to the G7. Of course, I love how even that little rat weasel, fake, used-to-be conservative Matt Drudge over at the Drudge Report, you gotta love how he skews headlines. Trump bows to European leaders. He did. They bowed to him. Now, does Trump know how to go into a room and schmuck and schmooze? Oh, yeah. Why does he do that? He's the art of the deal. He can throw out the compliments, and we already know he can throw the punches, but he can throw out the compliments. He wants something from these guys. Is he willing to schmuck and schmooze a little bit to get a great deal for America? Oh, yeah. So what no one's really talking about is Japan was really, really ready to enter into some trade deals with the United States. In particular, they want our corn. They want our corn, and we produce a lot of corn. I live in corn production country. I've lived in New York, I've lived in Florida. Now, where I live, I watch them harvest corn. It's a sight to behold. And I mean, it is a big business. And what we don't eat, we burn in our gas tanks, we sweeten our soft drinks with it. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on, what we do with corn. But Asia, in particular China, they need our corn. They desperately need our corn. Japan needs our corn. Well, right now, China's got an embargo on our stuff. Okay, fine. So Japan said, we'll buy everything China didn't take. Shazam, Batman. And now we have other countries lining up, wanting to do business with us. Do you realize that China's whole economy is based on export? Everything they make, they have to export it. Their economy, what fuels their economy, is not the consumerism of their own people. No, nay. That's fallacy. That's propaganda. That's what they want you to see in the movies. That's the communist narrative. You know, the big, beautiful, modern Hong Kong and people living the middle class dream there only under communism. See how wonderful communism works, but it really doesn't work. I've talked to individuals from China, people who actually live there, and they'll tell you all those big skyscrapers and buildings and things that they're constantly building in Hong Kong and all over China. You know that's all fake, right? That those buildings, even if they're, 50 stories tall, they've only got clients and renters and occupation of about 1/3 of the building. The rest are just literally empty floors. Some of them not even walled off or petitioned. They're just built so that on the outside it looks good. They even light it up at night so that it looks good. And stupid Americans look at that and think, wow, communism can work under the right circumstances. Maybe we should try that. But it doesn't work. It is a growth killer. It is an incentive killer. It just doesn't work. So China's economy is based on producing things cheap, because after all, you know, we don't worry about things like safety of the employees on factory floors, and there's no OSHA regulation over there. There's no regulation really of any kind. So yes, products can be manufactured dirt cheap, because that's exactly what they pay the workers, peasant wage dirt. That's what they get. The people can't afford to buy the products they're actually manufacturing for us. So what happens? The Chinese government, the Chinese economy is built on making all of this stuff and then exporting it to countries like us. But here's the deal, and this is what you guys got to wrap your head around. Why we are going to win the trade war and why we are winning the trade war. China is not our number one import. All of the things that we import into this country, China is not number one on that list. They're number 3. Mexico and Canada are numbers 1 and 2. We get our stuff from Mexico and Canada. China's 3rd. So China needs us far more than we need them. After all, China needs our corn. They need our agriculture. They got a whole lot of people to feed over there. They need our swine. Literally, they need our pigs. They need our pork. They need our soy. They need our corn. They need food. And now Japan has stepped in and said, we'll buy all your corn. And you've got other countries now, like India, that's ready to be a big player in the production of things like electronics. You have countries like Vietnam that are ready to rock and roll, and we are in good relationship now with Vietnam. And by the way, Vietnam would like our corn. They would like our produce. They would like our meat. They got people to feed too. And now you see that the Chinese version of Wall Street is crashing. Their money is collapsing. They're in big trouble. And now all of a sudden they want to come back to the negotiating table and talk to Donald Trump, who basically told them, but it was the great Barack Obama. He was the one that European leaders and Asian leaders longed to see back at the G7. Of course they do, because they could piss all over him. They could literally rape him, and he would bend over and say, thank you, sir, may I have another, as more jobs, more of our economy tanked, manufacturing completely decimated and wiped out under the great Barackmas Obamamus. But he was so civil and polite, and he was cool, and he just knew how to talk, and he was, to get back to that civility. Civility. You know, doctors in bedside manner. I just want a doctor who's polite and will hold my hand and tell me what I need to hear and just, give me all the prescriptions I need. What you need is the old doctor who tells you basically you're a legalized drug addict, the prescriptions aren't helping you. First thing we need to do is get you off the drugs you're on. Then we can start talking about making you well. You know what? He may not have been polite. He may have had lousy bedside manner, but sick people actually got well under his kind of care. That's the kind of doctor I want. I don't need a president to kiss me, to rock me to sleep at night, sing lullabies to me, and read me nursery rhymes. I need a president that understands the business of America and goes about the world representing and taking care of the business of America, not a bunch of globalistic crapola. But of course that doesn't fit the narrative of the Never-Trumpers and the Wall Street Journal gang and the Democrats and the Libloons and the lying legacy corporate corrupt media. So Trump embarrasses over at the G7, and what do they get fixated on? What do they start having orgasmic climax over? He retweeted where somebody called him King of the Jews. He's a narcissist. He's a lunatic. He's not fit for office. He really thinks he's the Messiah. He rolled them and trolled them again. And while they're reacting to all of that and lining up their guest panelists of so-called psychiatrists, none of whom have ever actually talked to, met, or interviewed or examined Donald Trump firsthand for themselves, yet they're all lining up on the cable news shows, Larry O'Donnell over there at PMSNBC and whatever the airport TV terminal channel is showing. That's my new name for CNN, by the way, because the only place it gets any viewership is at airport terminals where they literally have a captive audience. And they pay for that audience, by the way. I don't know if you know that or not, but they pay to be broadcast in airport terminals. Yee and ha. It's because they can't get played in anybody's living room, except maybe at the nursing home during bedpan change time. But other than that, CNN is now forever the TV terminal channel. They line up their guest panelists about how crazy this president is, and they line up economists who come from a socialist background. By the way, you do know that Russia has economists, right? You do know that every socialist toilet nation on the planet has economists, right? So finding economists to bring on PMSNBC and CNN who disagree with the president's economic policies, and everybody's supposed to be like, really? There are economists that don't like what Donald Trump is doing. Well, duh! That doesn't mean that what he's doing is wrong. In fact, it's working. The Chinese economy is collapsing. Why? They need us. They need us to buy their stuff, and we have food they need. You understand that Trump is literally starving them to death. Literally and financially. By the way, what about American companies that are still making things in China? Come on home. Can you believe the tax breaks we are going to roll out for you if you manufacture right here? And you know what, beloved? That's worth paying a little bit more for our TVs and DVD players. Do we even really use DVD players anymore? I mean, for heaven's sakes, we've got Netflix and Prime, and Disney's going to have their own thing, and pretty soon you know that every major movie maker will have their own channel. Netflix will become irrelevant eventually because nobody's going to watch all the propaganda crap produced now that the Obamas are on their board of directors. So, there's just certain things that China's gotten all caught up and built their economy on that's becoming obsolete. In places like Vietnam and India, they can slap computers together. Gee, wouldn't it be nice to have computers made right here in the US of A, where it doesn't come preloaded with a bunch of Chinese spyware and viruses already built in to crap out your computer 90 days after it's out of the box and the warranty expired? Wouldn't that be neat? Wouldn't that be awesome to have a computer that just worked always? So stop letting the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media freak you out over the economy and tariffs and recession. Oh my! The president's got this. He's sweet-talking Macron, macaroni, Macron, tell him how much he loves French wine. Now, we all know the president doesn't even drink. Eric Trump owns a vineyard, and the president doesn't drink. His brother died of alcoholism. He has a hardcore conviction against alcohol. He doesn't drink. So when the president sits there and tells Macron, I love French wine, it's more schmuck and schmooze. By the way, France, we have stuff. You want it, buy it, import it, go ahead. Forget this whole trade deal, trade pact, hogwash of the past. I'm Trump. Come deal directly with me. We'll cut out all the middlemen. It's incredible. President Trump rocked the G7. And you know how you know that he rocked it? Because most of the media isn't talking about it at all. They're not even trying to put a negative spin, and the few that do, it's blowing up in their faces and they're looking stupid, and they're left to do stories about Donald Trump's crazy. Donald Trump's crazy. He thinks he's king of the Jews. He does. I saw the tweet. He thinks he's king of the Jews. He thinks he's the Messiah. You know, he tweets this crap, and he has to absolutely, it's not because he's a lunatic, it's because he is so sarcastic. He tweets this stuff, and he looks at his staff, and you know he gives one of them a wink, says, all right, here's what I just tweeted. I think it takes all of 15 minutes for Don Lemonhead, Brian Stelter, and the rest of those clowns over at CNN to absolutely fall all over themselves trying to get in front of a TV camera to talk about the fact they think I'm nuts. And while they're playing that little game, Trump's over there putting it to the G7 and coming back with great trade deals that instead of a recession taking us into the 2020 election, it's going to be the rockinest economy yet. And the Democrats and the lying legacy corporate media, I think just days before the election, are going to face the stone cold reality. He's going to be elected. He's back. He did it. And all of our lying, all of our conniving, it fell apart and blew up on us again. Well, that's it. That's my last rant for the day. Hey, thanks so much for watching and subscribing to the channel. I really do appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up and a big like. Tell your friends about what we do here. And make sure you smack the bell for my next rant.